What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle back at you with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Hope you all had a good weekend, or whenever you're listening to this, hope you're having a good week. Today, what I'm going to go over are different elements of health. And I'm going to base a lot of this in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is pretty cool. And it's something I refer to a lot as I've learned mind map and continue to learn it and study it, because it kind of overlays the triune brain, like the three brains that we have. And the reason I think this is super important is we're coming into this second wave, but if you listen to the officials, the only way that they're really, and have been really, instructing people how to deal with what's going on is basically quarantine and wear a mask. That's not health. That is not how you deal with health. There's a lot other elements to our health that can create a robust immune system. So I want to go over that. So if you look here, if you're watching on Facebook Live, okay, it's my little drawing of Maslow's hierarchy of needs with some cool type of spiral drawings I've been doing. But you got 5 layers. So let me explain this first. You have 5 layers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, if you look at the bottom 2, they basically equate to the reptile brain. The next 2 are more or less the mammal brain, the mammalian brain, and then the top one is the human brain. So let's go over the layers, and we're going to talk about health. So the bottom one, the base of the pyramid, is physiological needs, right? Food, water, sex, livable environment, clothing, and shelter, right? This is the reptile brain. This is if one of those things is not present, you can't really move up the chain. Now, the next layer of the pyramid is safety, protection, and security. So it's feeling, it's not just being, it's also feeling safe from harm from people or hazards. So those 2 have to be in play. Now, if you think about where fear resides, really it's within these 2. If you try to let people know that one of these 2 areas is under threat or under attack, they're going to be very fearful. Okay, they're not going to be able to use the logical brain. So the logical brain really is the top of the pyramid of self-actualization. I'm going to get to that. But fear, when it comes to survival, is really based in the bottom 2 parts of this pyramid. Okay, and that's where a lot of health focus has been placed since coronavirus started. The third layer, so now we're getting to the middle of the pyramid, is belonging and love. Belonging to families, schools, communities, community groups, etc. So this is belonging. This is the part of your brain. It's called the anterior cingulate cortex. It's hardwired for bonding. And there's been plenty of studies done on this where they isolate people and how devastating that is on the impact of human health. And children that grew up locked away, and how devastating that is on the development of health, right? So this is a key element that we need to make sure is present to have a healthy human being and a healthy spirit, right? So that's the mid layer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Then you get to the 4th one, so you're getting close to the top. And again, I'm going to go back over this and tie in the other layers of health, your health in particular, that we need to be focusing on right now. You have esteem. So with esteem, I wrote this diagonal, so let me read this. Respect from others. So it's status and public recognition. So that's important for people. Everybody's got different needs with that. And then you have respect for the self. So sense of competence and confidence is very important. Okay. Now you can't get to belonging and love and esteem if the bottom 2 pyramids, something's out of whack. If your physical safety is under threat or perceived to be under threat, so that's important. Or you're physically in danger from hazards in the environment at your house or from other people. Okay, we got to make sure those things, we feel confident in those things to move up the ranks. And then you get to the middle. Well, it's not the middle; it's the top of the pyramid. But in my triangle, the middle is the self. Okay, and that's self-actualization. You can only get to that, and that's basically when you have forward thought, linear, logical thought, and projection and planning out the future and going after your goals and activating that mechanism in your brain to seek out goals in a better life, the ultimate life that you want to create for yourself. Now that part is basically what's called in your right prefrontal cortex, right? So the prefrontal cortex, if you think about the three brains, it's the most outer layer of the brain, okay, up in here. But the right side, right, that's your creative side, but that's the side that can create and picture in a positive way out into the future, the theater of the mind, the visualization. So this is important. We got to be able to be in that part of our brain to create the life of our dreams for a period of time. So you need, a lot of times you need somebody that can continually ask you questions to put you there. That's why personally I always have coaches in my life to constantly redirect my attention to where it needs to be. But if those animal parts of your brain continue to pull you back, you can't keep that. You'll never have self-actualization. So it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can Google it. You can look it up. I'll probably put a picture in the comments here so you can see what the triangle looks like. So as far as health, right, people have been told nothing about nutrition since coronavirus has started from the mainstream media. At least I have not heard that. They've been told nothing about exercise. They've been told to basically run and hide. And again, this creates a fear state. When you have a fearful state, the immune system is going to go down. Okay, more inflammation is going to be in the body. You're going to have, when you're in a fearful state, basically, you activate the sympathetic nervous system. So you have fight, flight, or freeze, right? So the way this manifests in a lot of people nowadays, the freeze mode is like a low-level depression, where they're just depressed. They don't want to do anything because they feel like they're under attack, but they don't know who the enemy is, right? It's this invisible virus, and you have all this stuff. So I've got all different types of theories on this, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but I just want to talk about health. And besides, if you want to quarantine and do all this stuff and basically distance yourself, go ahead and do that. But you need sunshine. Super important. You need sunshine. You need vitamin D. This time of year, especially where we live up here in the Northeast, you need to supplement with vitamin D. Today's a beautiful day, but it's not like that every day this time of year. You mainly get vitamin D from sunshine. Vitamin D is one of the best things you can do for your immune system. So what I recommend is get outside as much as you can, especially this time of year. Do not use sunglasses unless you absolutely have to. I have very sensitive eyes, but I make a point when it comes into the fall to not put them on unless the glare is so bad that I can't see. But the sun is not as strong right now. So let the sun get into your eyes. If you can, get out there, just close your eyes and look up at the sun. Okay, let those rays, they'll get to your brain where they have to get to. So that's one thing. Get outside and walk. You don't have to do these full-on workouts. It's good if you can, but you got to move. You got to move your body. Okay, walking is one of the 4 keys to youth. Move. It's one of the only forms of exercise, or I should say the only form of exercise that's going to lower stress hormones. So that's very important as well. Nutrition. You gotta remember, when people are functioning from a state of fear, they're in the animal brain. Okay, emotion and logic don't mix. So a lot of this stuff, if this is you, this is not to nitpick or make people feel ashamed. It's just to hopefully bring awareness to this. So when you're in a calm state and logical brain, you can say, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. What I'm doing here. And my point with nutrition is, you have people that are trying to follow these protocols as far as distancing, quarantine, lockdown, all this stuff. But yet if you look at how they eat and what they eat, they're putting junk in their body. And food is the drug. It's the most consumed drug that we have. It affects the internal biochemical and hormonal environment of the body. So you can't tell me if somebody's at the grocery store and you see them, okay, they got their mask on, but you look into their shopping cart and they've got Coca-Cola, they got candy bars, they got chips. It is such a disconnect, because this is far more harmful to their health, okay, in whatever reason they have for doing their other actions, but it's far more harmful to their health, right? It's going to cause inflammation. It's going to cause, which is hand in hand with insulin resistance. So you have all this stuff, higher levels of acidity, which is hand in hand with both of those things, inflammation and insulin resistance. But it doesn't connect. Okay, if you're going to be about your health, you got to be about your health, right? Now, we got to talk about the other aspects of health as we move beyond the physical. First of all, sleep is huge. Now, sleep is much harder to come by when people are uncertain because, again, they're in that sympathetic nervous system. You got to be in your parasympathetic to rest, digest, and to sleep. When you're constantly in a fearful state, and that's all you're programming your brain to focus on, your sleep is not going to be restful, and it's going to be a hard time sleeping. So you got to get that straight. How do we get more quality sleep? Turn off the television and the programming. Limit your time on social media. And I always tell people, if it was not for the business, I would not have social media. I use stuff to get the message out there, then I'm off. So be careful what you're feeding your brain. So you got sleep, but then I really want to talk about the middle of the pyramid, okay? You got belonging and love, and then you've got esteem. These are the emotional parts of the human being that are critical for health. You need these to, you got to think of mind, body, spirit, but these have to be in place. Now think about how it's, the distancing and not seeing loved ones. It's devastating for the health of the human person. One of the worst things that people could do. And you got to figure out, how do you get your tribe? How do you be around people in the settings that make you comfortable? And you could do that outside if you want, however you want to do it. But realize that the love of self and the love of other people is critical for your health, right? And that's where your true feeling of safety can come from, is from the bonding and the social connection. So you got to remember that. So social activities, doing stuff that makes you feel closer to loved ones. This is where you got to focus a lot of your health energy right now, that health spotlight. So health is about more than just moving or what you're eating or not eating. Fasting's a whole different thing about how that can dramatically boost your immune system and your health. I'm not going to make this a fasting lesson, but I want you to be aware of all these levels of the pyramid. It's, again, the media and the programming and the television, social media just has you focus on the bottom ones, that your physiological safety and security is at threat. And it keeps you focused there, which makes people go into freeze mode. They pull back from everything else, and meanwhile, they're not taking care of their true health. Health is not about trying to run away from something, guys, unless it's a grizzly bear that's going to try to kill you. But even then, you're probably not going to run because it's going to catch you. You're going to go into freeze mode and you're going to faint. But that's a different thing. But health is about being proactive. It's about a positive state of mind. It's about having purpose and vision, right? And that leads to the self. That leads to the whole purpose of you being a human being is self-actualization, reaching your full potential. That's the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can't get there when these other things are not in place. And this is how you make a healthy human being. A healthy human being has a purpose and a mission in life. And right now, a lot of people are just in a survival state. Okay, they're in a survival mindset. And with that, you got to ask questions. Reach out to me privately if you have to as well. I'll give you a couple key questions, or I could talk you through it. But you need to bring clarity, right? So remember, if you're in that state of mind and you're trying to get out, but you feel like you're helpless. When things go too fast or they go too slow, we have lack of clarity. That's where we're in a threat mode. So if things are going too fast in your life, and you feel like one thing is coming up after the other, and one change is coming up after the other, then you got to figure out, how do you slow things down? If things are going too slow and you feel like you're stuck, let's say since March, how do you speed things up? You need daily routine, okay? That's one way to speed things up. Think about when you have a to-do list and you put a lot of stuff on it, time seems to speed up. And I should actually make a note to do the next one on time, because that's a whole fascinating concept in and of itself. And then clarity. Where are you lacking clarity? And you go back to this situation we're currently living through, this craziness of 2020. Clarity. Your brain will give you answers to any question you ask of it. So what's great about this? How is this going to be a great turning point in the history of humankind? How is this making you a better person? Get clear on stuff like that. Clarity, we have lack of clarity when we're thinking too far out. There's too many steps. So bring it all the way in, whatever the next thing you got to do is until you have clarity. So the mind, body, spirit, this is how you create a healthy human being. Don't get just caught up in your health is just about avoiding people and wearing a mask. That's not health. Do it if you want, but there's a lot more to health is my point. And you got to focus on that other stuff. You got to get out of the freeze mode. All right, so that's what I got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the share button, shoot me a question if you need to. And you all have a great day.